All right. Oh no. I have to do this. Boom. Thanks. Boom. All right, let's do that. All right, let's see. Let me get onto my. Yo, hello.
You see that they posted your three?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Oh, I just saw it.
Oh.
I had to see. I had to say, like, look at you go.
Would you think?
I think you're super cool.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
I
that.
think you're the coolest kid out there.
You like 10 out of 10. I'm that cool.
Huh?
10 out of 10. I'm that cool.
Yeah, you just like that. You just like that. Meanwhile, I was in bed and cleaning.
And I'm streaming if you want to watch.
You're streaming right now?
Yeah.
Ah, damn. So I'm just on the stream now?
I don't know. I mean, you can check. I'm not listening to how loud it is.
Ah, chill. Alright. What are you.
Mom just texted and asked who I was talking to.
Hey, Ava. I saw his highlight reels from the game.
Yeah, it was Annabelle, Mom.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, bro. I love you.
Oh, you're good. I love you. I'm getting this all set up anyway.
Okay.
Bye. Oh, man. Gotta get this all set up. I don't know why I'm not signed in. Let's see. Maybe it'll just load automatically. Oh, alright. We got two questions already. Let's see. Trade Brooks and Myers for Dobbs. Or for Jason and Worthy. Also trade Purdy, CMC, Debo for Hurts, AJ Brown, and Kelsey. Okay. Um. Okay, so appreciate the question, Chandler. So with this one I have pulled up here, the Purdy, CMC, Debo, and Ingram for Hurts, AJ Brown, and Kelsey. I actually like that deal a lot. Um, Considering like what your record is to it, it might change where I stand. But I think like if you already have a pretty good record, there's no need to have Christian McCaffrey on your team. Um, as far as Jalen Hurts goes, I think he's QB1 rest of season. I think AJ Brown having that connection with Hurts, so you're gonna get 10 points. Oh, you got 6 points per passing touchdown. Okay, so that's big too. So you're really gonna get 12 points per passing touchdown to AJ Brown, and then I think Kelsey's also gonna get, obviously he hasn't been super consistent this year, but I think he's gonna continue to get more usage as the season goes on, right? So I would pull the trigger on that. Brooks and Myers, or Dobbs for Jason and Worthy. Um, Once again, so honestly, I think Jonathan Brooks is really freaking good. I just think that he's just the Panthers really don't want to force him back because of how good Chuba Hubbard's playing. So I like that deal a lot though because I really do like Jason and Worthy as the season goes on. So I think I would pull the trigger on that. And if you could, I'd rather do Jacoby Myers than Dobbs. I think Dobbs is more of a he's gonna be definitely more of a boomer bust type player, but I think you'd rather have that than Jacoby Myers because he's consistently not very good. Grinding on and off the court, bro. Come on, you know me. Always got to do it. Start McLaurin or Reed. Also Chase Brown or Hunt. I would go Chase Brown between Terry McLaurin and Jaden Reed. I think you're gonna get more consistency or a safer floor, I guess, um, out of Terry McLaurin than Jaden Reed because of how spread out the Packers offense is, right? And Jaden Reed really relies off of efficiency. So I would go Terry McLaurin if you're trying to be safe. But if you know you're gonna win your matchup and you just kind of want to like flex over your friend, maybe you can go Jaden Reed there. Should I start Tyron Tracy or Zay Flowers? That's a good one. Tyron Tracy is a beast. He's been doing really well. Let's put my pin in. So I think if you want like we're kind of saying with McLaurin and Reed, if you want a better floor, I would probably go Tyron Tracy because Zay Flowers obviously has been kind of like a boomer bust option in fantasy. And I really do think that Tracy's been a very efficient and a good running back in the NFL. So I think I will go Tracy there. Um, let's see. Which two should I start? Dobbins, Brown, Tracy, and Dowdle. Okay, so obviously with Dowdle, we just got news that Ezekiel Elliott isn't playing because of disciplinary issues. So it's gonna be him and Dalvin Cook, I believe they just called up. I don't know if that affects too much of Dowdle's workload. I think that we're probably gonna see um, like the same split that we are expecting. Really, I think you definitely want to start. I think Chase Brown and Tracy's probably the move there. Um, I do like Dobbins a lot though. I think Dobbins you could start Dobbins over Chase Brown or Tracy if you really wanted to. Obviously, I haven't really dug too much into matchups just yet. The Bengals playing the Raiders here, so I mean, I'm assuming we're probably gonna see. Um, why does it keep doing this? Am I not logged onto my account? No, I am. Okay, I don't know why it keeps doing that, but I'm assuming we're probably gonna see the Bengals go up by a decent amount, so we're probably gonna see them run the ball a lot. Like running the clock out second half. Um, and then Tracy. I want to go Dowdle because the Cowboys have just been super inconsistent. Um, yeah, this is where I'm kind of am too between Tracy or Dobbins. I think hmm. let me get back to you about that one real quick. Um, just because I want to dig more into matchups. Would you trade Hunt for Tyron Tracy thinking rest of season? Yeah, for sure. Because Pacheco, once he comes in, I don't think Hunt's role is going to be that much. MHJ for Pickens, is that a good trade? Low key, I would do it, yeah. I really like Pickens a lot, especially with how Russell Wilson has looked. I really like that a lot. All right, let's go ahead and look at these matchups here. Um, Chargers, and then we got Tracy's Giants. Giants playing the Commanders. All right. Can I not go on my NFL Pro? Does that want to work? Let's see. Oh, it does want to work. Nice. Okay. Yeah, let's pull this up. Um. All right, Browns defense. Let's see. 20th rushing efficiency, 14th passing. Um. Commanders, obviously they suck at everything defense. Or I guess their rushing defense actually is not bad anymore. Passing defense, it's gotten better. Okay, I kind of want to see their per games though. Did something like just got a whiff of a fart for some reason. Sorry, I don't know why that happened. Um, I know you guys can't obviously smell it, but that was random. Yeah, so if we're looking here, so the last game the Commanders played, DeAndre Swift dominated against the Bears. I mean, with the Bears. Chuba Hubbard here probably didn't really do much. I don't really want to look at the Panthers because their offense sucks. Derrick Henry. Yeah, I mean, I think you're pretty safe with starting. Um, I think you're pretty safe with starting Tracy, honestly. Um, and Tracy's been getting like he's been getting so many carries a game too. I like Tracy a lot, so I would probably start him. Should I start Marvin Harrison Jr. right now? What's the rest of your team looking like? Obviously Marvin Harrison's been pretty inconsistent. Going up against the Bears here this week though. Um, let's see, what has Marvin been able? I believe last week he did pretty solid. Marv, yeah, last week he did good, but he's been like super inconsistent. Um, Let me know the rest of your team. If you don't really have any other receivers that you trust, you could start Marvin Harrison for sure. Um, yeah. I was just looking at this game, huh? Looking at yeah, Terry McLaurin did really well against the Bears last week. Zach Ertz, Noah Brown obviously had that one catch for 52 freaking yards. That was insane. Um, so I think the you got a pretty solid matchup here against the Bears. So I wouldn't hate you for starting him. Obviously, depending on who else you have. But let's go to break down the games here. We got some good questions already. Let's look at this Cowboys Falcons game. So obviously, we're looking last week, right? Cowboys lose to the 49ers in a pretty close game here, 30-24. We're looking at the Falcons versus the Buccaneers. The Falcons squeaked out the win. Um, Even with Baker Mayfield really having no one to throw the ball to. I think Rachaad White didn't Rachaad White get a majority of the. Let's see. I feel like trade Olave, Pollard for Henry. Yes, I would do that, no doubt. I think Derrick Henry is probably. I think he's either him or Saquon. I think is probably the best running back in fantasy right now. I would do it, Wesley. Um, QB's Lamar, running backs. 1 and 2 is Connor and Pollard. Receivers, you got MHJ, Zay, Monra. Yeah. Oh, so you're asking if you should start Zay or Marvin Harrison there? Um. That's tough because it's a really hard matchup for Zay against the Broncos. The Broncos have been super really like the Broncos defense has been the main reason in my opinion why they're winning so many games. Obviously last week you had Bo Nix with over think 270 passing yards and a couple passing touchdowns there. But I mean, I think that you're probably your best bet's probably gonna be with Marvin Harrison. I don't want to fumbling over my words so much, but I think that's probably your best bet. And also, we're seeing this game's projected to be closer. Um, so we're probably gonna see more passing volume. You know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Austin. Uh, let's see. I'm so mad too. I made a TikTok like first week of the year. I had Derrick Henry, um, and I was kind of freaking out about him because we saw him get like 50% of the snap count, which is it's kind of been he's been getting a little bit more than 50%, but him and Justice Hill have really been splitting the backfield role, and I was kind of concerned because obviously Derrick Henry got there with a touchdown, so I was a little worried that because he got there with a touchdown, we're not going to see that every week, but I mean, so far he's been doing that every week. So I mean, I was proven wrong. Wish I didn't trade him, but I mean, I got him for Brees Hall, so it wasn't a bad trade. What was I looking at here? Oh, I was looking at the Rashad White receptions. Yeah, Rashad White. Nope, this is not receptions. Yeah, Kate Otten. Kate Otten, Bucky Irving, Rashad White. They're really more involved than McMillan, Palmer, Shepard. Some guys that people are looking to start this week. Um, with the team listed, who should I trade away and get? So you said, um, oh, I thought you asked me a trade question. Oh yeah, MHJ for Pickens. Okay, I would really try to focus on probably getting a better running back. Um, because I think um Pollard and James Conner are, they're solid running backs, but I don't see either of them as really being RB1s in fantasy. I think they're more. I think Connor you can maybe consider like a low end RB1, but I think Pollard's more like a mid RB2, maybe high end RB2. Um. Oh dang, your bench is pretty deep, huh? Debo, Mason, CMC, Hopkins, Tracy, Ingram. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would consider for your team is maybe getting a better running back. Your quarterback with quarterback and tight end there with Lamar and Njoku. I mean, I don't think you really do anything about that. Um, Amonra, he's no undoubtedly you can't trade that dude. I think Connor you can probably keep just because he's definitely the workhorse back in Arizona. With Pollard, I'm a little skeptical on, but I mean he's been really good too. I mean, depending on like if you really need an upgrade or like if someone's really willing to give up a high end RB1, then you could maybe try to flip like MHJ, um, or like Christian McCaffrey, obviously, because I'm assuming that your team's pretty solid. Who should I get? And honestly, so when you do trades in fantasy, it really depends on like the other team, in my opinion. So if we're looking at like, let's say you got a team that's okay, so let's say you got a team that's like I don't know 2-6 or something like that, and they need to like win games now. You could definitely trade. I guess CMC's coming back too, huh? I think if you want to trade Jordan Mason, you're gonna have to try to package that with CMC. I think that you could probably get a lot for that. Um, you could probably honestly get a high end RB1 for Mason and CMC, but I think really you should probably just hold on to your team right now because you have CMC coming back. Um, I don't see any reason really to do any trades. Maybe that like what you said before with MHJ for Pickens, I wouldn't mind doing that. But I think you should probably just stay solid with what you got. All right. All right, let's see here. All right, yeah, so we're talking about this, right? So we're gonna see Rico have a majority of the carries, obviously, kind of like last week. Sorry, last week he didn't play. I don't know what I'm talking about. Kind of like what we've been seeing as the season's been going on, right? CeeDee Lamb, this dude's been amazing. Especially that last game in the fourth quarter, 2 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, he's looked okay as a quarterback in fantasy. Definitely like kind of like a mid QB1 in my opinion. But I mean, looking at the Falcons, I think that Bijan Robinson, as you know, as time goes forward, I think that he's going to be a high end RB1 undoubtedly. I think that he's probably a top 3 running back. Actually, not top 3. I'd say like top 5 running back for sure. Drake London as well, definitely wide receiver 1 in fantasy in my opinion. I think Kyle Pitts is really the dude that you're kind of skeptical with. Um, Obviously, let's pull up some of his stats here. We've kind of seen with Kyle Pitts that like he's been he's been a solid tight end in my opinion, but in some of these games where we're getting a lot of passing volume from Kirk Cousins, we're not really seeing Pitts get a majority of the volume here. Let's see. Box score. So Kirk Cousins 276 yards. National Tight Ends Day. Yep. Everyone did really good. That was a crazy. That was probably one of the best National Tight Ends Day for every tight end. I'm not gonna lie. A Monera for Luca and Cook. Is that viable? Um, did you have a typo with Luca? Because the only Luca I could think of is Luka Doncic. Um, we're not doing fantasy basketball over here. Um, I honestly think with Amonra, I don't know if I would trade. I really don't think you should trade anyone on your team. I think you'll be fine. Um, but I mean, maybe if that Luca player is someone else, then possibly. Unless I'm blanking on someone named Luca in the NFL, I'm not sure. Um, oh, Puka. Okay. Nah, I would keep him on because Puka just re-aggravated his knee. I'm really skeptical about him with his injuries. Pick 2 full PPR: Bixby, D Hop, Pittman, or Sutton. I think you gotta go Tank for sure. Even against the Eagles. I mean, we've kind of seen. How's Hold on. Is my memory not serving me right? Give me 1 second here. Um, yeah, I think Bixby's getting all the carries. I guess ETN's coming back this week, huh? That's where it might be a little questionable. I mean, you could. I think you definitely go with. You definitely go with Pittman because we have Joe Flacco coming in as QB, so I think he's gonna get more targets than what he would with Anthony Richardson. Has anything been said about what they're planning on doing with ETN and Bigsby? Let's see. Oh, he's gonna return to the top of the depth chart. Yeah, then I don't know if you can start Bigsby. Um, I think you probably got to go with. I think you got to go with Pittman, and honestly, between D Hop and Sutton, um, you could lean either way. Honestly, I think you're probably gonna get a higher ceiling from D Hop. Honestly, obviously first week he didn't really get too much, but first week with the Chiefs, right? So I mean, if it were me, I'd probably start Pittman. Actually, the only thing with D Hop or Sutton is that the Broncos are actually supposed to be losing this game the whole time, basically. So they're probably gonna be passing the ball a lot. But like, the thing that's really making me hesitant is Bo Nix isn't. He's a rookie quarterback, right? He's not very consistent. What we're looking at with Mahomes is obviously actually this year hasn't barely been very consistent either, or just like very good, honestly. But I mean, I think you're probably gonna see D Hop get more of a role this week. So I would probably go D Hop and Pittman there. Uh, Chestnut or Eckler? Probably Eckler. Um, dude, Eckler's been like, he's just been like a very solid running back with a very, very low, very low ceiling, but a very high floor. Let me see if I can pull his stats this year. Here we go. Austin Eckler, and it's mainly because of his reception volume, right? Um, okay, this is rushing. Do they have receiving? Yes, they do. Yeah, right. So 3 targets, 2 receptions, 6 yards. That's an extra 2.6, 2.3 here, 8.4 here, 5 here, 4.4 here. So you're getting all of those extra points on top of 52 yards, 17 yards, 21 yards, 67 yards, right? So in a full PPR format, Eckler's been he's had a pretty high floor in my opinion. Um, so I would probably go Eckler there. Would you play Dak or Darnold? Honestly, probably Sam Darnold because I really just don't trust Dak Prescott. Uh, also Darnold's been really really good this year, obviously. Um, but I mean, looking at the matchup's obviously pretty favorable for Dak with the Falcons having the 26 passing efficiency right now. I don't know. It's just Dak Prescott's he's very wishy washy in my opinion. And I think Darnold you're probably gonna be safer with. So I go Darnold there. Cade Otton or Hawkinson. I think Cade Otton's probably the easy start here, especially because we haven't seen Hawkinson in action yet. This is gonna be his first game. And like we saw last week, I think that Cade Otton's probably gonna be the main target for Baker Mayfield, and I think he's gonna get most of the receptions go his way and most of the targets. Good questions though, guys. Good questions. Good questions. All right. Let's see. Did we I don't even know if we finished the first game yet. I don't even know what we're looking at. Um, we'll figure it out. We're just gonna say the Oh, okay. Who do we think is gonna win this one? Between the Falcons and the Cowboys, probably the Falcons. This game's gonna be super high scoring though, so definitely one that might be worth a watch for sure. Drink some water. See now this game's gonna be interesting in my opinion between the Broncos and Ravens because of this stuff right here. Obviously these stats aren't like, end all be all. But I mean I think they're pretty good stats. Like just like looking at it, obviously the Ravens did just lose to Jameis. Um, but I mean the Broncos defense has been so good this year, and right now they're facing number one passing efficiency with the Ravens and number one rushing efficiency with the Ravens. Um, so I think this game's really gonna be a pretty solid game in my opinion. I'm actually excited to see how this plays out. Um, I think the Ravens are probably gonna win just because I don't really trust Bo Nix. Or really, I don't trust the Broncos offense that much compared to the Ravens offense. And on top of that, you're adding in Deontay Johnson. I don't know how many snaps he's gonna get this week. Definitely something to monitor in my opinion because obviously with other receivers, kind of like D Hop and Amari Cooper, we saw them get a decent amount of snap count, but not their full amount that they're probably gonna get as the season goes on. With Deontay though, he did get traded pretty early in the week, but I still don't know if he's gonna be playing 100% of the snaps. So, or 100% of snaps that he should be playing, right? So, I mean, I think that the Ravens do take this one regardless, but that's definitely gonna be something that I'm watching with that game. Um, let's see, between the Bills and Dolphins, well, this line is actually pretty surprising in my opinion because obviously you have Tua. Um, they did lose to the Cardinals though, so you know definitely a little bit of an upset there in my opinion. But I mean, I think as time goes on with Tua, I mean, I think that the Dolphins they're gonna just continue to get better. Obviously they missed what 4 or 5 weeks without Tua. So it's gonna take some readjustment time for them, I think. But obviously, with the Cardinals, that being a loss was definitely a little sad for them. I think that it for the Dolphins, it probably would have been more ideal if they faced the Bills last week and then played the Cardinals this week. Um, just so that you could get because I mean, what I'm thinking here is that the Bills are probably going to win this game, right? So if you have Tua, getting kind of like a get back game with the Bills, and then you have him playing against the Cardinals this week, where he kind of already had that quote unquote get back game, like I just said, he's probably going to be more warmed up, right? So I think that, like I just said, I think the Bills are probably going to win this. I really do like how Josh Allen's been playing this year. I think Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniels. Those three guys are probably my QB1s this year so far. And I don't really think that that's going to change. I think that's basically everyone's QB1s. Obviously the orders for that probably changes depending on who you ask. But I think James Cook definitely going to be viable every single week that he plays just because he's been so good, right? I mean, or not that he's been so good, but that he's in such a good offense. So I think Amari Cooper, like we just said, is someone to watch. I think that he's probably going to have a pretty solid game after a pretty disappointing one last week against the Seahawks. Kincaid did pretty well last week. I think that kind of what we've been seeing with this season projection, or with this season so far, is kind of what I'm projecting for the rest of the season, where you're going to have some of those games that he goes up and some of those games that he goes down, right? All right, Panthers, Cardinals, or sorry, why did I say Panthers, Cardinals? I don't know. I think Cardinals are just on my mind. Saints, Panthers game here. So we're actually looking at the Saints being favorited by a lot, or 7.5. That's a decent amount. I don't really think there's much to talk about here. Obviously, you can start Olave, Kamara, now that Derek Carr's back. As far as the Panthers side of things go, we're going to have Bryce Young playing again. Chuba Hubbard, you can still start, I guess, if you really have to. Obviously, without Andy Dalton, this offense isn't going to be as good, nearly as good. Let's put it that way. So, I think that the Saints should take this one easily. I don't really think there's much to talk about here. Raiders, Bengals. Once again, nothing really much to talk about. Minshew obviously he didn't look bad against the Chiefs, right? Let's pull up the stats here, because I don't remember the exact stats for Minshew. Let's see. Yeah, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, 118 rating. So definitely not horrible out of Minshew, especially when we're comparing to the week before against the Rams, where we had 3 interceptions. I still think that no one in this offense is startable other than Brock Bowers. Kind of been harping on that all season, really. Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers, I don't know. I really thought that Jacoby Myers was going to be a viable option in fantasy. But I mean, Brock Bowers has really just been taking everything from the Raiders' passing game here. I mean, Myers 6 receptions, 52 yards, a touchdown. Bowers 5 receptions, 58 yards. Why do I not remember Jacoby Myers going off like that? I don't know. Maybe you could start Jacoby Myers, actually. I wouldn't mind that. Obviously, in like a very deep format, I still wouldn't start him if you're in like a 10-man or even a 12-man. But looking at the Bengals, I think Chase Brown, this is probably the game where he explodes. I want to see if they have snap count data on here. If they don't, I know he's been getting the majority of carries anyway from Zach Moss, but he's really just been waiting to break out, or have a breakout game. Yeah, I mean, ever since Zach Moss fumbled, he's kind of just been taking over. So I think that explosion game's coming very soon. Obviously, this game you're not gonna have T. Higgins, who's still out with an injury. I believe, is it his quad? Yeah, it's his quad. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Austin. I think that he's gonna be really good. I'm waiting for him to explode. I haven't been in a couple of leagues, so I might be a little biased in that sense, but I still think he's gonna do really well, even if I didn't have him in my fantasy leagues. But yeah, I mean, I think that Joe Burrow is gonna be fine without T. Higgins. Obviously, you're probably gonna see more go Jamar Chase's way, and honestly, I could see more of a run game being involved for Chase Brown here. I think that the Bengals take this one pretty easily, though. Okay, Chargers versus the Browns. This game is looking pretty good, honestly, because of one man, Jameis Winston. I love Jameis Winston. I think that I think if you were to ask any an NFL fan, they would say that they love Jameis Winston. He's just such a great guy, right? He's got probably the best interviews. Nick Chubb, Batman, great guy too. I mean, I think you got two of the most charismatic dudes on the same team, so why not root for them, right? David Njoku is on my fantasy team, so I like him a lot. But I mean, they're coming off a big game here against the Browns, where or not the Browns, against the Ravens, where they easily could have lost if Kyle Hamilton didn't drop that interception. But once again, Jameis Winston, I mean, he maybe just likes Jameis Winston so much that he didn't want to intercept the ball from him, right? But looking at the Chargers side of things with Herbert, Dobbins, McConkey, I mean, I think this offense is pretty good. J.K. Dobbins has been pretty explosive. I've got a question here from Auto. Dak or Bo? Um, okay, so that's a good question there. So honestly, as far as matchups go, they're both in solid matchups in my opinion. I think you're definitely gonna get more rushing upside out of Bo, so you're gonna have more of you're gonna have a higher floor, in my opinion, because Dak, doesn't run the ball, and if he starts throwing interceptions like we've seen before, he's not viable in fantasy at all. So I mean, I would probably go with would I go with Bo Nix? I feel like I might go with Bo Nix, and that's kind of that just feels crazy for me to say, but I mean, we've had back-to-back weeks here where Bo Nix has done really well. Um, Obviously this was against the Panthers, but I mean, even looking at the week before that, this elude against the Saints here, 164 yards. Does it show his rushing? Let's see. What's he's rushing? Yeah, 52 yards. So this is really what you're gonna get. Wait, no, that's 52 attempts. Sorry, rushing. Yeah, so 75 yards. That's why I was so high on him. He had one touchdown last week against the Panthers, rushing wise. So like I said, you're probably gonna get more rushing volume. Honestly, though, I don't know. I could really see a game. I could really see like the Ravens just absolutely dominating the Broncos, though. Um, I think honestly, if you want to go safer, kind of crazy for me to say, but I think you go Dak Prescott if you want a safer start. And also we're seeing from Vegas that this game is going to be very high scoring, so you might have more volume for Dak. This one of my roster. It's 10-man PPR. Any moves I should make? We got CJ, Dak, Neighbors, Amon, Tillman, MHJ, Waddle, Henry, Taylor. That's a 10 man. Oh man, that's a good team. I wouldn't do anything. I mean, you can maybe, if you really wanted to, you could try to get a better QB because I think, and I would think that the majority of people would agree that CJ Stroud is kind of like a Nico Collins merchant in my opinion. Like without Nico, we haven't really seen CJ do too much, and obviously his O line's been sucking with the Texans a lot, so that's something else to consider. As far as anyone you could trade, I mean, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, those are like three of my top five running backs in fantasy. So you could definitely flip one of those dudes for like a QB1. Obviously it's hard to kind of value quarterbacks to running backs in my opinion. Just because they're two completely different positions. But if you wanted to like try to trade for someone like Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, or Jaden Daniels with one of those running backs, I would actually probably like that a lot. Especially if they're sitting on your bench right now, because I'm sure that you're not starting all those dudes. But that team is really good. And you have oh man, voice crack. And you have Brett Aubrey at kicker, so kind of like the cherry on top there, huh? Okay, so yeah, we were talking about this game. Chargers Browns. I think the Browns probably won this game. I really like Jameis Winston, even though he's like kind of a meme. The one thing I'm worried about with Jameis is that we're gonna see a situation that we saw with Andy Dalton, where we saw him get okay, one game, 334 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Same thing happened with Andy Dalton, 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and then after that, it was kind of all downhill. I really hope we don't see that out of Jameis, because number one, I have Nick Chubb on my fantasy teams, but also just because I kind of do want to see the Browns make a little bit of a comeback here. I wish they gave Winston a chance with Amari. Um, yeah, I think I do have to use two RB1 flex actually. Yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to, I was thinking maybe you could trade Waddle or MHJ. I think you'd probably get more value out of Waddle, honestly. Or just wait till one of those dudes have a breakout game and then sell them high. For QB. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, I think that I really do want the Browns to win this game, but I think that Justin Herbert's. I hope he's finally stepping into his own. I mean, let's go ahead and look at the last game here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we had 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, 349 yards. No touchdowns here, but I mean, he's kind of these past 2 games. He's been looking like a better player. I mean, even against the Broncos defense here, 237 yards and a touchdown is it's been pretty tough for other quarterbacks to do that. So, I think Justin Herbert's just been looking better offensively, really. All right, this is honestly probably one of my favorite games of the week, and it's mainly because Joe Flacco's at QB for the Colts here. I don't know. I think that obviously last week against the Texans was a bad loss for them. I think that they definitely should have won that game. Seeing them, yeah. I really like Winston anywhere he goes. Honestly, since that I think it was 2019 with the Bucks, that 5,000 passing yard season with 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. That dude's just been like the GOAT in my opinion. I love that guy. But I mean with the Colts Vikings here, I think that like they're kind of saying here with the projections, Josh Downs is probably gonna get more than Michael Pittman, but I still think that Michael Pittman's probably gonna get his as well. I think you're mainly going to be seeing these 3 guys. Okay, why is Mo Ali Cox highlighted? You're mainly going to be seeing these 3 guys here. Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman be utilized in this offense with Joe Flacco. Kind of like what we've seen in previous games. As far as the Vikings go, Sam Darnold's been looking like honestly, a Pro Bowl quarterback. Aaron Jones has looked like a very, very good running back, even though he's pretty old. He still looked really good. Justin Jefferson still looked amazing. Jordan Addison still kind of up and down. TJ Hawkinson, obviously, we haven't seen yet. So, definitely interested to see how he plays there. Yeah, Flacco is like, he's going to change their offense a lot, I think. But, yeah, the other thing I want to talk about is obviously this Vikings defense has been really good this year. So, I think that if Flacco is really the move here, I think that if he performs against the Vikings, which honestly, like, for some reason, deep down, I feel like he is going to do pretty well against the Vikings for some reason. I think that the Colts, obviously, they said that this is probably going to be a long-term move where they start Flacco. And I really don't blame them, right? Because they're 4-4. They're in the playoff race right now, and Flacco's been playing a lot better than Anthony Richardson. So I think that if they win this game, I mean, I think that'd be a big win for them, and honestly could see it happening. I think it's more likely going to happen that the Vikings win, but I wouldn't rule the Colts out at all, honestly. I really like their offense with Flacco. It's kind of like what we saw last year with the Browns with Flacco compared to Deshaun Watson, right? All right, next we have the Commanders Giants. So really, wow, this game's actually projected to be pretty close, huh? It's kind of surprising, in my opinion. But I mean, we're kind of looking at the Commanders here as like one of the best offenses in the NBA and in the I almost said NBA in the NFL. Obviously, Jaden Daniels has looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL as a rookie. Terry McLaurin's looked really good. Zach Ertz has been honestly a pretty solid tight end for the whole season. The only thing they're really lacking is another receiver. Really, obviously Noah Brown had the game-winning touchdown last week, but I think that if they want to be contenders going forward, that they probably should trade for a receiver. I don't know if that's going to happen, but maybe next year in free agency. But, I mean, I think Brian Robinson and Eckler, they've been a pretty good 1-2 punch, in my opinion, for the Commanders. Looking at the Giants side of things, Tyrone Tracy's honestly looked like an absolute stud. I think I saw something that, like, this is only his second year playing running back, or third year maybe, because he played receiver in college. So definitely some pretty cool stuff we're seeing out of Tyron Tracy. Malik Neighbors is obviously going to get like 90% of their targets out of Daniel Jones. And I don't think that changes as the season goes on. Wando Robinson, he's not someone that really intrigues me to start. I think that there's going to be some games where he has he does really well, and some games where he doesn't do too well. Um, let's go ahead and pull up his stats here actually, just because I want to make sure what I'm saying is valid. But yeah, I mean, five receptions, 30 yards, six receptions, 23, five receptions, 50. It's kind of like up and down here. Obviously, against I think these three games were the games without Neighbors. So you're gonna get the reception volume or the target volume that Neighbors has been getting if he's not there. Obviously, I think that the Commanders should take this though. I honestly think that this line's kind of crazy. I think that they should take this by a lot more than 3.5. But I don't know. NFC East game, so I mean maybe that's why they're saying this is gonna be so close. But next up, let's look at the Patriots Titans. This game is kind of gross in my opinion, just cause you got two really bad teams going at it. Obviously I did see that Drake May, I think just flew in, to Tennessee, and that he was starting like this morning. So definitely something new there, I guess. With him playing, I don't know. But I mean, I think that I really don't think there's much to talk about. I mean, Pollard, I think he's probably the only startable player in this entire game. Uh, Maybe Ramondre if you're in like a pretty deep fantasy format. But he's been so inconsistent. It's kind of crazy because like 1 week he'll get like 100 yards. Um, Would you trade for Kyler? If so, who would you trade? I definitely don't mind trading for Kyler at all. But yeah, like here, 48 yards, two touchdowns. Oops. And then you had the other game where you had 18 yards. But yeah, this game's probably gonna be the most boring game I've ever watched. You know what? We're just gonna skip over this one. We'll say the Titans win. We'll just say the Titans win. Yeah, I mean, so like I kind of just said, I definitely would trade for Kyler because you're gonna get that rushing upside. So his floor is gonna be lower, and obviously his ceiling is gonna be higher than Stroud or Dak. Um, and he would be an upgrade. The only thing really though is that at least for me, it's hard for me to like I kind of said, it's kind of hard for me to evaluate receivers to QBs or running backs to QBs. Um, I think if you could. I think if you depending on what the other guy has, obviously, you can maybe try to get CJ or Dak in the trade to give less. But I mean, if you could trade Waddle, um, that would probably be ideal because you already have Neighbors and Amonra and MHJ. So I mean, depending on what um your league mate has. I think that you could probably get Kyler for pretty cheap if you were able to throw in CJ or Dak as well. Um, but yeah, mainly I mean I would try to trade Waddle in there. Um, all right, let's see this one. Bears Cardinals. This game actually might be pretty interesting. Yeah, I think it probably will. Um, Obviously, so the Bears here, they're kind of they've been pretty good. They had a heartbreaking loss last week against the Commanders that I'm sure everyone has seen already. I think DeAndre Swift has been I mean, he's been really good as a running back actually. It's kind of crazy considering how he started the year. Oops, I did that wrong. Let's see how long this takes to load. All right, there we go. And then there we go. I meant to new tab it. But I mean, like looking at his first two games compared to first three, really compared to how he's been, like really, it was kind of these two games I was really like, man, this guy's not that good, right? 1.3 yards per carry, 1.5 yards per carry. But I mean, ever since then, this dude's been going off, right? You had 93 yards week 4 against the Rams. Week 5, you had 73 against the Panthers. 91 against the Jags. 129 last week against the Commanders. and he scored a touchdown in all of them. So I mean, he's been a really good running back as far as fantasy goes, and even in real life too. He's been super efficient, and I think that that's something if he can continue to do that, it's going to be really important for this Bears offense because Caleb Williams is going to be able to spread out the field more. Like if we look at Caleb Williams' stats, right? Since let's see, when was it? It was ever since week 3. Wow, he really did not do that good against the Commanders, huh? But I mean, if we're looking at his ratings, they've been a lot better than all the other weeks. Um, Obviously excluding this Commanders game. Um, I mean, I just think that Caleb Williams he's going to be a better quarterback if DeAndre Swift's running the ball more, and I think that DJ Moore's going to be a better receiver. I think that this whole offense is going to be it's going to be elevated when Swift is playing better, obviously, because other teams are going to have to worry about trying to stack the box maybe against DeAndre Swift to stop the run game. Looking at the Cardinals side here, we kind of talked about Kyler Murray a little bit with his rushing upside. I think that that's something it's really important, especially in fantasy football, to have someone that can run the ball because he's going to get you an extra like 40 rush yards. That's 40 times 4. That's an extra 160 passing yards. In like your normal leagues where 1 point is 25 passing touchdown or 25 passing yards. I mean, James Conner, like we kind of said as well, he's going to be the workhorse back in this offense. So I think going forward, you kind of have to start him just because he's going to get all the volume you want and all the carries you want. Marvin Harrison, definitely an up and down type dude. I think that Trey McBride, honestly, he's been a very good player this year, and I'm really excited to see how he does next year. I think that the difference between someone like McBride and Bowers and Sam Laporta last year is that McBride and Bowers really don't have anyone else offensively on their teams other than Marvin Harrison and James Conner. But I mean, like if you're looking at the Lions, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ra, and really just like the whole JMO. I mean, I think that the Lions, it's so weird with their teams because it's not weird, but the Lions are like they have so many weapons and it's kind of different every game. I feel like with the Cardinals here, it's probably going to be more consistent for someone like Trey McBride, to get receptions and targets, right? Um, but I mean, I guess I didn't say what thing's going to win this one. I probably think that the Bears are going to win this one actually. Um, it's pretty interesting. I was looking at these. Um, but I mean, I could definitely see going either way because, like it said over here, the Cardinals' defense really hasn't been that good. Um, it's interesting here. It's just kind of saying that the Cardinals suck in zone offense or in zone defense. Yeah. I think, yeah, like I said, probably leaning towards the Bears, but I could see a world where the Cardinals win that one for sure. All right, Lions Green Bay. This game will be, I think, pretty interesting. Like we kind of said, the Lions really have so many options to go to, and it's almost different every game to where we're seeing like the third string tight end get some touchdowns over Sam Laporta, or we're seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown throw a passing touchdown to Jared Goff. So it's kind of different every week here. And I really do think that the Lions are, they're going to be really good offense, right? Because Jared Goff's a really good quarterback. They have all the weapons they need. Um, and so I mean, I think that this game here against the Packers is probably going to be one of the best games of this week. Um, Obviously because you have two explosive offenses going at it. But also because I just think that there's no defined winner here in my opinion. I think that this game is probably going to be like last drive. We're probably going to see someone win this game in the last drive. But I mean, like looking at the stats overall here from both teams, the Lions, I mean, like we said, their offense has been unstoppable. The Packers have had a really good defense. Honestly, the Packers offense, they've been pretty good as well here. And I mean, against the Lions here, so trying to remember. I think it's the Lions. Really, the Lions. They kind of want you to throw the ball more. I know it says that their overall passing defense is number two, but I mean, with quarterbacks, we've kind of seen them been throwing the ball for more passing yards here, which is why I think someone like Jaden Reed could potentially have a really good game here. As far as receiving yards go, maybe not with touchdowns. But I mean, I think that this game's probably gonna be like pretty close overall, just because I think that the Lions offense and Packers offense, like they're gonna be able to clash really well together. As far as I think who's gonna win this though, I'm probably gonna have to lean towards the Lions. But I mean, if the Packers win, I definitely wouldn't be surprised at all. All right, so we have the Rams versus the Seahawks up next. So let's go ahead and dig into it here in a second. Let me just drink this water. I'm getting thirsty. Okay, let's get into it. Rams, Seahawks. So, with the Rams, obviously, Puka Nakua, he is playing. I guess he's questionable, huh? Yeah, because of that knee. I don't really think he's gonna play, honestly, especially because he was a DMP. Yeah, he was a DMP Friday. So, I mean, I think we're probably gonna see Cooper Kupp get the majority of targets and receptions from Stafford without Puka. But I mean, if Puka's in, I think that that's a big help for this Rams offense overall. I think Kyron Williams is someone that's also going to be a really good running back. Kind of like we've seen, like going into this year, I didn't really think Kyron Williams was going to be that good of a running back as in terms of fantasy, but this dude's been he's been getting all the volume you want, like 18, 20, 24, 19, 22, 21, 23. I mean, he's been pretty efficient. 4.2, 3.6. You can see the numbers here. And he scored a touchdown in every game except for last week against the Vikings, obviously, who do have a really good defense. Actually, didn't he get it? Yeah, he did get a receiving touchdown. So I mean, he's been getting a touchdown literally every single game this year, and I think even going back last year, he's on a pretty big streak if I'm not mistaken. Um, I don't know. I think that Kyron's just getting all the efficiency. I mean, all the carries you want, and he's been pretty efficient. So I think going forward, you kind of have to start him, obviously. But I mean, looking at the Seahawks here, JSN without Metcalf. I mean, if Gino's gonna be better than last week, I think that JSN's probably most definitely actually going to be targeting. Um, Sorry, let me rethink of what I was just saying. If Geno Smith plays better than last week, as in more passing yards than 212, I think that we're going to continue to see Jason get all the receptions he wants, and I think honestly more in my opinion. I think Kenneth Walker is someone who's a must start player. Obviously he only had 9 carries for 12 yards. And honestly, like with Kenneth Walker, he is kind of like you can't put him in RB1 territory just because of the fact that he isn't being super consistent with his volume really. I mean, the thing with Kenneth Walker though is that he is getting obviously a decent amount of receiving volume as we see here. 5 targets, 4 receptions, 33 yards. And I mean, we've seen this for like the entire season really with Kenneth Walker and his receiving volume, but his rushing stats have really just been they've been solid, but I mean, especially this last game against the Bills, 9 carries, 12 yards. I don't want to be too uber focused on that. So I mean, I think he's undoubtedly someone you have to start just because of how good this Seahawks offense is. As far as who's going to win this game, I do think that if we're seeing Puka play, I still think he's going to be a dog. I mean, I think that the Rams probably do take this one if Puka plays, but if he doesn't play, I could see this being a lean towards the Seahawks in my opinion. All right, Sunday. Wait, what the? Where is it? Oh, they had Sunday night here. Oh, they flexed it, didn't they? The Colts and Minnesota game. So I guess that's why it's over here. Okay, Jacksonville, Philadelphia. We can look at this game too. which is what we're gonna do. Okay. Hmm. It's hard with Devontae. I think Bigsby's gonna do. He's probably gonna play. Okay. Anyway, let's get into this game. T Law. Honestly hasn't been looking like a terrible quarterback. He's been looking better as the season's going on. I really just wish that he would start the season looking, like a better quarterback, right? I think Travis Etienne coming back. I don't know. I thought that he was a good year coming, or I mean, a good running back coming into this year, and I still think he is a pretty good running back. He's just been really inefficient. Um, but I mean, like the past couple of years, he's been good. I mean, I honestly think that he just needs to get traded from Jacksonville. Um, I think somewhere where like the Cowboys would probably be perfect for him, but I mean, like he's only had one touchdown this year, 230 yards. I guess he's had two. I guess I'm not seeing week one here. Yeah. So he's had two touchdowns, only 230 yards in 6 games. Last year he had over 1,000 and he had 11 touchdowns, which was kind of why you were, happy with starting him was because of that touchdown upside. Not really seeing that right now, so that's why, you can't really start him. He's been injury prone as well, which has been, kind of sucky. But I mean, Evan Ingram is someone that you definitely can start. Brian Thomas Jr. is someone you can definitely start. I think that they're gonna continue to get this receiving volume from T Law. As far as the Eagles go, I really do think that Jalen Hurts and Saquon, they're kind of their fantasy play at least. It's been seeing like it's more and more reliant upon each other, and the fact that Jalen Hurts, in this last game at least, vultured 3 touchdowns away from Saquon. And I don't think that that's going to be a continued trend, but like right now we're looking at it, he's projected to have more rushing touchdowns than Saquon by point two. And I mean, I would agree with that because right now, if we're seeing the Eagles, anytime they get down to the one, they're just gonna go in that Philly special. I mean, in the tush push. And I mean, I think that AJ Brown's gonna be someone who you can definitely start. Same with Devonta Smith. Why are their pictures? Their pictures are like slanted on their profile. That's weird. Like right here, this dude Grant. Look at him. He's like his face is like on the left middle instead of like the middle like AJ Brown. I don't know. It's weird. Something I just saw. But I mean, I think that like I said, Saquon and Jalen are gonna be your two guys who are gonna kind of coinciding with each other. But I mean, I think that AJ Brown probably gonna have a pretty good game here against the Jaguars, who honestly their passing defense really hasn't been good at all. 32 in the NFL. I think that it's definitely gonna be a spot for him where we could see him be a really good player, and kind of just show what he's able to do. Right. All right. Next up here we got Tampa versus Kansas City. So in this game, Kansas City's obviously favored by a lot because you're not having Mike Evans and you're not having Chris Godwin who's out for the year, which is sad, obviously. But I mean, the thing with K Don's only projected at 38 yards. K Don really looked like a stud in my opinion against the Falcons. I mean, you had over 10 receptions, I believe, at 11, and you had over 100 yards with a touchdown. I mean, McMillan and Shepard, I think, are two guys who are, I think they might get theirs like one week, but I don't think they're going to be very consistent guys. And I mean, we're looking at Rachaad White actually getting this role back. All right. Let me answer y'all's questions real quick before we. All right. Start Nix or May. I would probably go with Bo Nix. But I mean, the thing with the Titans here is obviously the Titans are really bad. Um, and we were kind of talking about it earlier. I think that there's definitely a possibility we see Bo Nix implode against the Ravens. To where like he's not able to do anything really. But I think you probably have to go Bo Nix. Just because he's a little bit more experienced. Obviously, they're both rookies, but I think that it's gonna be a better matchup than what we're gonna be seeing for Drake May. Obviously, the Titans, obviously they're known to be a really bad offense, but their defense hasn't been horrible. 13th in the pass game and 10th in the rush game. So I think probably Bo Nix is your start there, but that's a tough question there, Hunter. All right, George. Let's see. We got two receivers in a flex non PPR: Brian Thomas, DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, Jason Waddle, Hopkins, Bixby, or Bucky. All right. So we were kind of talking about this earlier. So they said Tank Bixby is gonna be the backup to ETN. By they, I think Doug Peterson said that. I don't know. I saw it on Twitter. It might not be true. I hope it is. Or, I mean, I guess I kind of hope it isn't because I do have Tank Bixby in a couple underdog drafts. But looking at your receivers here, I think JSN's a must start guy. Um, and I think that between Brian Thomas, DJ Moore, and Cooper, I think you start even Waddle. I mean, I think all those guys are definitely startable. Bucky, I probably would stay away from just because him and Rashad White are still splitting the backfield. Um, I think I think you're probably gonna get more. You're probably gonna get more consistency out of a dude like um, Waddle and even like DJ Moore. He's had, I believe, over 10 fantasy points in like a majority of the games here. Um, but I mean, I think you kind of have to start Brian Thomas because he's been really freaking good. So I think you have to go Brian Thomas, JSN, and then between Waddle, Moore, and Cooper, um, that's tough in my opinion. Um, Even Hopkins there. I mean, you could definitely consider him. I don't know if obviously he didn't play. He's probably going to play more snaps this week than last week, so we're probably going to see more targets and receptions go his way. Um, and I do think against the Bills here with with the Dolphins, we're probably going to see a good amount of passing from Tua, which is why I'm like my gut kind of tells me that to go with Waddle, Jason, and Brian Thomas. But like people like DJ Moore and Amari Cooper, like or even D Hop, like those three guys can all go off and regardless, And I wouldn't be surprised. Same thing with Brian Thomas, same thing with Jason and Waddle, right? I mean, you have a pretty good problem there. But I mean, if it were me, I think I'd go Brian Thomas, Jason, and Waddle. That's a really tough question though. It's a good situation to be in though. All right, so okay, I think we kind of talked about this with the Chiefs. We didn't really talk about this, but I think Kareem Hunt is someone that's probably going to continue to be this dude that is going to get like all the carries from this backfield until Isaiah Pacheco comes back. And in such a good Chiefs offense, you have to start him. D Hop, like we just said, I think he's going to get more snaps as the season goes on. Obviously, probably wasn't even close to the amount of targets that we're going to see. And obviously you're not having any Juju. So it's really going to be D Hop and Kelsey with a little bit sprinkled in of Worthy in this passing offense, I think. But I mean, I really do think that Mahomes is probably going to be more reliant on Kelsey than Hopkins just because he has more experience playing with Kelsey, obviously. I think that this game the Chiefs should probably win, though. Let's see. Oh, they changed this, huh? They had Terry McLaurin here, and then they Terry McLaurin here, and someone else here, but yeah, they changed the people that were on here. Let's see. Let's look at this Thursday night game because it was actually really good between the Jets and Texans. This was honestly, this was sad for me as a Texans fan to watch. Because our O line kind of really just fell apart, right? Like, you can easily look at the box score here and be like, oh, okay. CJ Stroud 11th for 30, 191 pass yards, 36.7 completion percentage, 35 or 59.2 rating. All right, CJ probably sold this game, right? But I mean, it's not his fault. Um, I mean, if you're watching the game, and even if you looked at some of the other stats here, CJ Stroud's getting pressured more than 50% of the time. And it's really because of how bad this O line has been for the Texans. And it's not, with the Texans, right? We look at who their player, like who's injured for their team, right? We got Stephon Diggs out for the year with his ACL. Nico Collins was put on the IR. I believe he's coming back soon. Looking at their defense, Jimmy Ward, one of their main safeties, he's hurt. Basically, almost all of their linebackers are actually hurt too. Um, you got Henry Toto playing. I mean, they had to pick up Devin White because we didn't have Aziz Al Shakir. What's his face? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember his name. That's how long it's been. Um, Christian Harris too. I mean, he was an absolute stud in the playoffs, and I mean, he just can't play because he's hurt, right? So I mean, with this Texans roster, it's really been tough because obviously they've been injured and their O line hasn't been good. And obviously someone like Kenyon Green, or Keontae, is it Kenyon or Keontae? The guy we picked in the first round in 2022. He hasn't been looking good. It's really like in my opinion because of his confidence. It's just completely dismantled at this point. But I mean, I think that once we get Nico back in this offense, I think that it's gonna be better. At least I hope so. Like if we look at, I don't know how I can pull that up. The pressure rates, they have that. If I go to Texans team stats and I go to pressure stats, team offense pressure rate 41.3. Okay, so yeah, it'll show us here. Why does it show me? I don't know. This is weird. Okay, kind of what I'm trying to get at here is their pressure has been getting the pressure that they've been allowing has been getting worse and worse. And it's not like their O line's getting worse. It's just it's just happening really. I mean, I think it's tough for CJ because he's not getting the ball out really that fast anymore. And I mean, like you can see here, we're 30th in pressure rate, which is third worst. But I mean, ever since Nigo's been out, we've had above 50% pressure out rate in every single game. And I mean, I think that it's gonna be tough for Stroud going forward without Nico. But I mean, we can look at the what was this? I guess I don't know. But we can look at the Jets side of things here, right? Obviously Aaron Rodgers, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. He looked pretty solid. Obviously the Texans defense is a little hurt. But I mean, nevertheless, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson looked really, really good. I mean, I think this is more what we're going to be expecting to see and projecting to see from this Jets offense, really, is we're going to see Devontae and Garrett get the majority of this offense with people like Brees Hall, Mike Williams, Braylon Allen, Conklin kind of sprinkled on top in the receiving usage. Obviously, Brees Hall, you're going to see get the majority of attempts. Something very interesting that we saw this week, though, was Braylon Allen wasn't really used a lot. Obviously, last week we did see Braylon Allen used a lot more. And, I mean, it's really kind of interesting, in my opinion, because they haven't really been consistent with what they want to do just yet. I mean, like here, you got 7, 11, 8, 5, 3, 2, 12, 4, right? So, I mean, this is around, I think week 6 is when they got Jeff Ulbrich as their head coach. That's when whenever we saw his role go down. And then just like last week against the Patriots randomly, they're like, all right, we're going to put him in 12 carries, 32 yards, a touchdown. And then this week, four carries for 9 yards. So they've been really up and down with Braylon Allen. And I don't know why, he's kind of been the same efficiency wise. But he's a good blocking running back. I think he's very good like as a fullback to help block for Brees Hall, just because of how big he is. But I mean, like looking more into this receiving room, like Garrett Wilson probably had one of the best catches I've ever seen. I would say obviously OBJ is up there. That George Pickens one hand catch is up there as well. But I mean Garrett, that body control to get your knee down before you get out of bounds, and like hold on to the ball, that was impressive. And I mean I think going forward really with the Jets, I think that at least like was I mad the Texans lost this game? Yes, but I mean I was kind of happy for the Jets here because obviously, you had a 5 game losing streak. I mean, you're losing against a team like the Patriots, but I mean, getting a win against a team like the Texans, that's pretty big, especially going forward when you got the Cardinals, the Colts, Seahawks. Pretty tough schedule, in my opinion, here. Um, so, I mean, if the Jets can win, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the max they can win is 11, and I honestly think that they probably have to win. They probably have to win at least 10 games to make the playoffs this year with how competitive everyone is. I mean they can do it for sure, but I think it's gonna be tough for them. They kind of dug themselves in a hole, especially with that loss last week against the Patriots. But I mean, if we're gonna continue to see Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson kind of get the split receiving usage, which is I mean that's kind of what I'm projecting here with Aaron Rodgers, then I think there's definitely a shot where um, we could see them, you know, make the playoffs, and just because of how good their offense or how much potential their offense has, really. All right, let's see where. Yeah, Kenyon Green. Yeah, okay. And then Patterson's also out, but yeah, Jimmy Ward and Aziz are the main two guys on the defense there. But I mean, they've had a decent amount of guys hurt. Let's see the pressure rate. Let's see. Oops, wrong one. Team offensive stats. QB pressure rate. All right, right now the Texans are third, which is what we saw. Um, and I'm kind of harping on the Texans here, but they're obviously my favorite team. But looking at okay, week 7, no, week 8. Yeah, okay, so week 8, 57.5% QB pressure rate. Week 9, 45.7. Week 7, they were at 44.8. Week 6, number 10 at 40%. So, I mean, they've been top 10 literally every single week since Nico's been out. All right, we got a question from Shadow. Pick 2, Worthy, Coleman, Bowers. I would definitely go with Bowers between Worthy and Coleman. I think that's kind of a toss-up in my opinion. I think you're probably better off with Worthy because I think he's getting more involved than Coleman is in the Bills offense. Obviously, Coleman did have a really big week last week, so I wouldn't blame you for going with Coleman here. But I probably think that Worthy's probably gonna have a. I think he has a better chance to be a more effective player for you. Uh, Good question though between Worthy and Coleman. I think that's something that you could think about. Let's see, week 5. Okay, so this is kind of. I mean, their QB pressure rate's really been bad all year. Um, but yeah, like right here, let's see, 21, 28.9% week 4, week 3. Um, oops, wrong one. I don't know. I guess their O line's really just been bad all year. Um, Stafford or Goff? Between Stafford and Jared Goff, I think that if you're having Puka, if he's gonna play with Cooper Cup, I think you have to start Stafford there. Um, but I mean, I think that without Puka, which I mean, I think it's probably likely he doesn't play with his knee. I think that you would go Goff just because of how like reliable that offense is in Detroit, and I think that this game's probably gonna be really high scoring, like we're seeing out of the sports books over under 48. Last question, pick one: ETN, Bigsby, Rashad, Rico. Um, I think you probably should avoid ETN and Bixby. Between Rashad and Rico, I'd probably go Rico because I'm assuming that the Cowboys are going to use him a lot. But honestly, in a full PPR league, I wouldn't hate you for starting Rashad either because we've really been seeing in back-to-back weeks here where he's been getting the majority of usage, really, or a lot of usage in this receiving in this backfield. So, what's up, Mega Brick? I'm pretty good, bro. How you been doing? I had to stream. What was I even thinking about? Oh yeah. I did do. I did. Let's see. It was actually a pretty busy week, I would say, but it was good. It was good. Thanks for asking, man. I really appreciate that. Um. Okay, man. Thanks for. Yeah, I got you, bro. Chubb, Tillman, Mooney, or Tracy at flex. I think really between. I'd be between Chubb and Tracy. I think that Nick Chubb is obviously the running back you want. In Cleveland. Undoubtedly the RB1. Man, and I really do like Nick Chubb a lot. But I think that Tracy he's been more consistent with his big games. Um, and I honestly do think that he's probably going to continue to have pretty big games here, just because the Giants really don't have much to go to other than him or Neighbors. So I think you probably go Tracy there. But if you wanted to go Chubb, I wouldn't hate you either. Um, Bo Nix or Jared Goff? Probably Mr. Goff. Um, just because I think that the Detroit offense is so it's really good, and I think that this matchup against the Ravens is gonna be tougher for Bo Nix. Um, Flex full PPR start one Tracy Pittman or Judy. Probably. Ooh, okay, that's a tough one. Um, Good question. I think you're probably between Tracy and Pittman. Um, hmm. Tracy or Pittman? Who do I like more? I think with Pittman, you're obviously gonna have more receiving volume with Joe Flacco. Um, and then with Tracy, you're gonna get the majority of carries. I'm gonna see. I just want to look at the stats really for Tracy. This dude's been a stud. 145 and a touchdown. 129. I mean, I think you probably. I think you probably go Tracy over Pittman. Because Tracy's really been stealing this backfield from Singletary, and I mean I think that's gonna be what it's gonna be like for the rest of this season, really. Um, but I mean I definitely do think it's a spot where Pittman could be solid. Obviously, a tough matchup against the Vikings defense. So something else to kind of look at there. Um, but yeah, I think I would probably lean Tracy. Um, okay, one more question. I got you. TJ Hawkinson or Kyle Pitts? Good question. Good question. Obviously, with Kyle Pitts, he had a really big week last week. National tight end today. Shout out. Um, the thing I'm kind of worried about is with TJ Hawkinson is that he's coming back, and we haven't really seen him obviously all year because it's his first game. But with Kyle Pitts, he hasn't been bad really. It's kind of surprising because the past couple weeks really 91, 65, 70, 88. He's been a solid tight end in fantasy. Um, I think you got to continue to ride that train unless we see otherwise from TJ Hawkinson this week. So I would probably lean Kyle Pitts there, but that's a pretty good question there too as well. Pitchman is such a boomer bust. Tracy has been, yeah. That's what I'm thinking here as well. I think that you're gonna get a lot higher of a floor from Tracy than from Pittman. Um, so that's kind of like what I think. I think Tracy is probably where you want to go. Start one defense, Bams, Rams, or Bears. Why say Bams? Oh, Bears, Rams, or Chargers. All right, let's see. Um, look at matchups because I already forgot who they're all playing. Okay, so Chargers play the Browns. The Bears play the Cardinals, and the Rams play the Seahawks. Um, hmm. I think you're really. I mean, the Chargers defense has been good this year. I mean, I think you're really kind of asking yourself if you think that Jameis Winston's gonna be um good for another week. If you think that Winston's gonna be good for another week, I think you avoid the Chargers. And I mean, it's hard for me to say that he's not because I love Jameis Winston, and I think a lot of people do. Um, with the Bears, obviously going up against the Cardinals, who have honestly been kind of like inconsistent offensively, in my opinion. And I mean I don't know. I think the Rams and the Seahawks is definitely one where like we could see Geno a really good quarterback without DK Metcalf in week 2. Obviously last week he was kind of subpar in my opinion. But I mean I think we're gonna see him continue to target JSN. Um, you have the Bears and Lions defense. I can keep both. But if the Chargers or Rams are a better streaming option, I'll pick up. Yeah, I mean, with the Lions, you obviously can't start them against Green Bay. I think between the Bears, Chargers, and Rams, I mean, I don't know. I'm not too much of a defensive dude. Honestly, I probably would think that the Bears would probably be the way you want to go here. Because I think that the Seahawks should probably you know, get it back together here. I mean, like we're looking at the Cardinals, they really haven't done too much. 41 points, 28 points, 13, 14, 24, 13, 17, 28. They've been, like I said, kind of inconsistent. Obviously, with the Seahawks, you'd be banking on Geno kind of continuing what he did last week and not being that great. Which I mean, against the Rams, who are a really bad defense, I don't really see that happening. And then obviously with the Chargers, you're kind of banking on Jameis really not having a great game, which definitely could happen. I think you probably just stick with the Bears defense though. But yeah, okay, yeah, I got you, man. But yeah, good questions there. Good questions for sure. Um, all right, let's see. Wonder what college games are on. Where'd my thing go? Did I close out? I might have closed out. I think I did. Oops. Okay, so I have to get this again. There we go. I agree it's between the Chargers and the Bears. Bears have a better defense, but the Chargers have a better matchup. Yeah, I agree. I honestly wouldn't blame you for going Chargers. I think it's between those two teams though. I think either or you're probably gonna be fine with. I just got CMC and Metcalf for Neighbors and Jacobs CPR. I'm 6-2 with a good running back depth. W or L trade, probably a W. Obviously 6-2. Getting CMC is gonna be big because he's most likely coming back after the Niners bye week this week. Metcalf obviously is hurt right now, but I mean, Neighbors. He's been getting like majority of reception volume, I'd say, obviously, and Josh Jacobs has been, a pretty good fantasy running back. Obviously the touchdown upside, it's finally been there the past couple of weeks, but hasn't been there the entire season. It's kind of been inconsistent there. But I mean, I really do like CMC a lot. I think that, especially for this 49ers team, I think that he's going to help them a lot offensively. And I think that DK Metcalf's, with Geno Smith and the amount of passing volume they have, I think that that's going to be good for them as well. So considering you're 6-2 with good RB def, I do like that trade a lot. So I hope that helps you out, Nathan. Alrighty, let's see. What did I want to see? Oh, the college games. Let's see if there are any college games on. Wow, this was crazy. I saw that I don't know if y'all saw this too, but I believe Miami stormed back. That's crazy. Because I believe they were losing. Yeah, 17-21 and a half. This game was crazy as well. I was watching this game before I streamed. Um, I think this game's probably going to be one of the better ones. A&M in South Carolina. I think that'll be a fun game to watch. Let's see. What random stuff do we have to talk about here? Um, do you think CMC comes back and becomes at least RB5? Obviously, I think that's like it's really reliant almost on if Shanahan's willing to play CMC as that workhorse running back, and I mean I think he should. Obviously Jordan Mason has been solid, and Isaac Garenda too has been pretty good. But I mean, I think that when CMC comes back, he's undoubtedly going to be the workhorse running back. And I mean, if he is the workhorse running back and how good, the San Francisco 49ers offense is, I think he for sure will be at least an RB5 for the rest of the season. Um, Honestly, he could be top three. I think probably CMC, Saquon, and Derrick Henry. I think those three guys rest of season once we get past that 49ers bye week. Considering how many snaps CMC plays, that's kind of like what I'm projecting there almost. But yeah, I think CMC's gonna be good. Crazy how good the Commanders have been with Jaden Daniels. I mean, they made some good free agency moves, but I mean, Jaden Daniels has really been the reason why they're so good. They got single game leaders. Kirk Cousins, 509. That's crazy. No one's had 400 passing yards yet, but we've had a 500 passing yard game. Of course, that's insane. Where's Stroud? Oh, there's 18. 331. Let's see, like, rushing. Derrick Henry's almost at 1,000 yards rushing already. That's insane. Rushing yards above. Oh my gosh, he's at 407 above expected. That's crazy too. This dude's a freaking beast. I didn't think he was gonna be this good coming into. What? He's gonna be 30 this year, I think. Um, Jordan Mason's been good too. Definitely a lot of surprises this year in the NFL. Tank Bigsby, he's been someone that surprised me. Um, Jaden Daniels, obviously, we talked about him. Tyron Tracy, Chase Brown. I guess I thought that Chase Brown was gonna be good. I think he's gonna get better, obviously, with his role being increased. Kareem Hunt, I don't think anyone was projecting him to be as good as he is. Obviously, no Pacheco, so that has definitely been helping him a lot. But Garrett Wilson's second in receiving yards. Oh well, he's played more games, so I guess that doesn't really count. First in targets though by a pretty good amount. And then it's Neighbors, CD, Wando Robinson, Drake London, Brock Bowers, Diggs. Oh, man, Diggs. I'm gonna miss Stephon Diggs. Alex said, "Who am I supposed to trade Jordan Mason away for?" I'm gonna be honest, Alec. I don't really know if you can get much for Jordan Mason anymore because um, CMC is projected to come back after this bye week. I mean, I don't know if he was projected. Obviously we don't know with Kyle Shanahan what's gonna happen. But I mean, if Jordan Mason I mean, if CMC's back, I really don't think you can get much for Jordan Mason, sadly, because I think that Jordan Mason's really going to be kind of negated from this offense completely. Um, but I mean, if you have a league mate who doesn't think that CMC's coming back, you could definitely get someone solid for Jordan Mason, I think. But you're kind of looking at like a wide receiver two flex option. And I mean, I kind of, we kind of knew CMC was coming back, I think, ever since really he got hurt. So, I mean, as someone who did have, who has CMC, or I mean, I had CMC and then I picked up Jordan Mason. I actually traded CMC, um, because, I started off pretty slow. I think I was like 1-3. Um, But I mean, I think that for Jordan Mason, his trade values, it's not very good anymore. I think you just probably have to drop him once. Obviously, not don't drop him before the 49ers game on week 10. I would definitely wait to see what's gonna happen with Jordan Mason, because I mean, I definitely think that there's still a possibility that we see Jordan Mason and CMC not like at a 50-50 split, but like maybe like 60-40, 70-30, Good question there, though. Oh, good question indeed. Yeah, Jordan Mason, he barely played because he got hurt, obviously, in like the first quarter. Um, and yeah, I don't think he's going to be very good anymore either with CMC coming back. As far as Deontay Johnson goes, obviously, if you could get a really good deal for Deontay, you could trade him. I think that you should probably just hold him and see how he does with the Ravens this week, because I do think that there's actually a possibility that, um, maybe not this week, but next week, once he gets more involved or more used to this offense, I guess that he could definitely get a lot of targets from Lamar. Um, Especially because like Zay Flowers has been he hasn't been a very consistent receiver in my opinion. And I mean, looking at his stats here, like this game, 115 yards and then 11 yards, 132 yards, 111 yards, 10 yards, 20 yards, 91 yards, 37 yards. So I mean, he's just been like kind of up and down, and I think that Deontay could help fill that role to be a more consistent receiver. So I would hold on to him for now. Um, that's kind of like what I think about that situation. But yeah, I mean, like once again with Jordan Mason, if you could trade him, you definitely should, even if it's for like a wide receiver two type player. Um, that's kind of like where I'm value. I mean, I don't even know if I'd value him at wide receiver two anymore. I think he's probably around like wide receiver three range, or like maybe a flex spot really. Okay. Do I think Xavier Worthy's potentially better than Flowers? Nah, I would stick with Zay. I mean, I think there's definitely a world where Xavier Worthy obviously does better than Zay, but it coming off of there's definitely a world, because with this matchup against the Broncos, obviously the Broncos have probably the best defense in the NFL, in my opinion. Um, and obviously you have a pretty solid matchup here against the Buccaneers with Worthy. But obviously you're gonna D Hop get more of a role. But I think you kind of have to go with Zay. Just because he's the wide receiver one in this offense for the Ravens, who have been a very very good offensive team. Like we see here, number one in passing, number one in rushing. So I mean, that's kind of like what I'm thinking, but I think there's definitely a world where we see Xavier Worthy get um have a better fantasy game than Zay Flowers for sure. Um, Obviously just because of how up and down he's been, really because there's no touchdown potential for Zay Flowers, honestly. So that's kind of like what I think there. But I think your safer option is definitely to start Zay Flowers. So it's kind of what I think. Good question though. Ooh, we're at 100 minutes on the dot on the stream. That's crazy. These streams go by quick. I'm telling you. It's like whenever I edit like my shorts or anything like that, it feels like it takes forever because man, the editing process is so boring. But streaming is fun. I like streaming a lot. Man, the Steelers are the 2 seed. Yeah, this season's been kind of crazy. Like, who expected the Steelers to be the 2 seed? Especially after all the QB questions they've had. I mean, they've just found a way to win games, really. Joe Alt, my dude. Who do I think's winning the Super Bowl this season? Well, I think that's up in the air right now. Obviously, it's super early. And I really don't want to say the Chiefs. Because I don't want them to win again. I mean, they've won too much at this point. I think that I think the Lions have a good shot for sure, just because of how good their offense is. Um, and I think the most exciting Super Bowl matchup for me would be Texans Lions or Texans Packers. Um, but I think that we're probably gonna see. I think we're probably gonna see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again, which is kind of sad. I don't want to see them in the Super Bowl. Um, I'd much rather see a team like the Bills make the Super Bowl or even the Ravens. The Ravens would be a lot of fun to watch. Um, but I mean, I probably think that the NFC we're probably gonna see the Lions, and the AFC probably the Chiefs. Um, I don't want to say that because they're both 1 seeds. Let's make it interesting. Let's do let's do the Ravens. I think that the Ravens have a good shot for sure, especially with how good their offense has been, and I mean their defense is really freaking good too. Um, and the NFC side, let's go with the Packers. I think that'd be a fun matchup, Packers Ravens, and I think that the Ravens taking that. I gotta go. Great stream and subscribe. Appreciate you, bro. Hey, thanks for the subscription, bro. I really do appreciate it. Helps me a lot. Thanks for tuning in. All right. We are at an hour 43. Yeah, they just have the stats for the Texans. Okay. Well. Let's see. Let's go look at some college football stuff again. Oh shoot. Okay. This could be big if Georgia loses. Honestly, don't know what that would do for the rankings as far as UT goes, because I'm a UT fan. But all right. So we got. I mean, I think I'm gonna probably go for another like 15 minutes ish. Um. So yeah, let's do that. Um, honestly, bro, let's look at some. Hmm. What should we look at? Let's think. Mm, let's go. We can just chill in here, I guess. Go and watch some of the film. I wonder if they have like week 9. Let's look at Rogers. Play result. Let's see what it says here. Already. Don't know why it showed me that. Oh, I'll play next. See, this loads. It didn't load. Okay. Well, I guess we try again. See if it works. All right. Bo Nix or Sam Darnold? Um, let's see. Let's get out of here. All right. So we looked at this kind of a little bit earlier. So the reason why I will go Sam Darnold here. Obviously against the Colts, I think that this game it's projected to be about this. Is it that the same? 46.5. Yeah. Okay. So about the same scoring. The reason why I would go with Sam Darnold is because Bo Nix is in a rougher situation against the Ravens here, in my opinion. Just because I mean I think that there's a chance here that we could see Bo Nix implode. In my opinion, I think that there's you know I think that you're gonna have a better floor in my opinion um with Sam Darnold. And on top of that, you have T.J. Hawkinson coming back, which I don't know how big of an ad that's going to be, but I mean, I just think that this Vikings offense has been really good. And I mean, I just don't think you can go wrong with Sam Darnold. So, good question there, though. Good question for sure. Start B Rob, Tyron Tracy, or Kadon at the flex. Probably. Um, I think you're probably between B Rob and Tracy. Um, Obviously, I don't think that Kadon's a bad pick either. There, I just think that B Rob or Tracy would be more, you know, more of a safer play, I guess. If you wanted to go risky, I wouldn't hate you at all for starting Kadon, especially after last week what we saw. But I mean, I would probably lean Tyron Tracy there just because of how much usage he's really getting out of this Giants offense, and I think that's going to continue to. That's what we're going to continue to see, really. Good question there, Bill Nye. Really do appreciate it. Good question for sure. Got another water. All right, I'm on my last water. That's how you know I've done a lot of talking. Hmm. This is interesting. I didn't see these. Yeah, look at that rush offense. Cowboys. Cowboys got the worst rushing offense in the league. I mean, I don't think that's surprising to anyone, honestly. I am interested to see how Rico Dowdle does. Um, yeah, I would keep that. I would keep Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown's gonna. There's, if he doesn't go off this week, I think that he's probably gonna go off in at least soon. But I really do think he has a good shot to go off this week, just because like I've really liked Chase Brown a lot, and I really just think it's because of how explosive the Bengals offense is. But I think it's also because obviously Zach Moss isn't really getting any carries, and he's doubtful. T Higgins also doubtful. But I mean, I think no matter what, you got to start Chase Brown because that dude's looking like a stud. And honestly, let me make sure I have him starting my other league because I haven't even looked at that league yet. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I do. Okay. Got him. Him and Pollard. Dang, Tanked out a pretty good week, huh? Yeah. But yeah, I think that Chase Brown is definitely. I think going forward, even if Zach Moss comes back, I mean, I think that Chase Brown's gonna be a really good player. Um, it's Pickens and Kenneth Walker for Amon St. Brown and Olave fair trade. Wondering rest of season to see if he's fleecing me or not. Um, I think so. Rest of season, obviously, Amon St. Brown is going to be an upgrade over both um, Pickens and Kenneth Walker. Really, with Kenneth Walker, what we've liked a lot is that he's getting a lot of receiving usage from Geno Smith. As far as Olave goes, there's definitely a possibility we see him pick it up with this play. Um, and obviously with Pickens, he's had two really good weeks, so it's definitely a spot here where you could sell high on George Pickens. Um, I don't think that's a fleece at all, really. Rest of season, I think that if you're really trying to look more towards the fantasy playoffs, that's honestly a really good deal. Um, so I mean, I would definitely consider doing that for sure, clutched. Um, and honestly, I'd be leaning towards you winning that trade. With all of those guys, who would you trade to get Josh Downs? I have a lot of running backs. Between B Rob, Tracy, and Chase Brown, um, probably Brian Robinson. But I mean, I think that with B Rob, Tracy, or Chase Brown, I think that you could get more than just Josh Downs too. If you could package that, I think you could do that for sure if you wanted to. Just because I think that I think Brian Robinson, Tracy, and Chase Brown, they definitely have they have good value for sure. Yeah, I got you, Clutch. No worry, no worries. Pop Douglas or McMillan rest of season. Probably probably Douglas, honestly. Um, actually, let me check. Let me check. I really haven't been paying attention to the Patriots that much. Uh, the thing with McMillan obviously is that this last game we didn't really see anything from him, and he didn't have um, Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. Obviously, Chris Godwin's out for the year. Mike Evans we're not really too sure about yet. Um, yeah, and I mean, I guess also with Demario, it's been tough too, because obviously he's in a really bad offense. I mean, I think what you're seeing out of Demario, I mean, it's gonna be he's definitely gonna get more targets. I mean, I would assume just because he's the wide receiver one in this Patriots offense. But like once again with Drake May, even if Jacoby Brissett's in, you're really not projecting him to be like a super efficient receiver in any means. Um, and then with McMillan, let's go and look at what he did last week. Obviously, I feel like the stats were kind of skewed last week because of National Tight End Day and how big that was. Um, so I mean, I do think that McMillan definitely has an opportunity to be better rest of season than Pop Douglas. Honestly, I think that once Mike Evans comes back, there's no reason to start McMillan. I think that Mike Evans is just gonna get all of the work basically from Baker Mayfield, him and Kate Otten. Um, so I think you probably gotta go with Demario there. Good question. That's honestly really tough. That's a really tough question there. Let me see. Let me see who I have starting. Yeah, okay. I like that. I'll rock with that. Brian Roberts Jr.'s for downs be good since Joe. Um, yeah, I got you, bro. No problem. So I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Considering you have Tracy and Chase Brown, um, and really Josh Downs has been like he's been a stud whenever Joe Flacco's playing, and even like we're looking at projections, he's projected to get the most amount of yards in this offense. Um, and I mean, I don't blame NFL Pro for doing that. I mean, even with Anthony Richardson, this dude was pretty good against the Texans. Um, I mean, I would probably if you want to do it straight up, then I mean, I wouldn't hate you for doing it straight up at all. Um, that's kind of like what I think about that. Cause I think Josh Johnson's probably gonna be like I'd say like a wide receiver. I'd say like honestly like a mid end wide receiver too, with Joe Flacco a quarterback. I really think that uh, Josh Downs gonna be good. So I wouldn't hate you for trading Brian Robinson for that. Froggy Man. Let's see. Should I give Pickens and Canine for um oh wait, didn't you ask this before? Wait. Should I give Pickens and Canine for I have death? Wait, hold on. Should I give is Pickens and Canine? Wait, this is so weird. This dude Clutch asked me the same thing. Pickens and Canine for Monroy and Olave. I should I give Pickens and Canine for Monroe and Olave? That's kind of funny there. I've depth at my RB because Gibbs, Mixon, and Aaron Jones other than Kane. Yeah, I would do that for sure. Um, that's so yeah, that is weird. That I mean that's a crazy coincidence. But yeah, I mean I would do that for sure. Um, I I think I think that's Amonra is easily a wide receiver, high end wide receiver one rest of the season. And considering you have Gibbs and Mixon and Aaron Jones, there's no reason why you should have or why you really need Kenneth Walker. So I like that trade a lot. And even Olave is definitely someone that you could look at. Man, that's crazy that this dude had the same trade. That's funny. That's funny. In my let's see, we're in week 9. So in my 2 months of streaming, I've never seen that. Um You have a Lava and Monra. Oh, okay, so you have a Lava and a Monra. Um, who's your can you send me like the rest of your team there? Cuz I think situationally it um depending on the situation, like obviously you could be losing a trade value wise. Um and you could still do it for sure. So, let me know who you have because I think you could probably get more for Monra and Olave than Kenneth Walker and than M Pickens. That's actually crazy. I've never seen that. Your running backs Connor, Saquon, Ramondre, Pollard. Um, okay, so I can see why you're trying to get a running back there. Honestly, I think that you could probably get your wide receivers. You got Amonra, Reek, Puka, Wilson. Dude, your team's stacked. I'm not gonna lie. Is that a 10-man league? Why is it not loading there? Okay, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see why you're trading trade one of your receivers for a running back. That's funny about the okay, whatever. I'm still locked in on that. I think you could probably get a better running back than Kenneth Walker for Amonra. Yeah, it's 10 man. Yeah, that's a great team. That's a great team. Um, so I mean, if you could kind of like, you could definitely shop Amonra and see what you could get. Or even Puka maybe. Maybe if you could do Puka instead of Amonra for K9. I know Puka played really, really well for the Rams this last week, but that knee injury kind of scares me a little bit. Garrett Wilson potentially could be a sell high guy for you. Um, I think you hold on to Tyreek though. Let's see. You think it's a pretty good trade? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad trade at all. I don't think you're getting fleeced. I think the value is pretty even. It's just that Amonra, I think Amonra is easily um, a very high end wide receiver one. I think that Kenneth Walker is like he's a solid running back, but I think you're almost it's a lot. It's been very helpful that he's been getting the receiving usage from Gino. I wonder if it's gonna continue to be that way as the season goes on. Um, are are you on the same league? I feel like you're on the same league, bro. I'm getting tripped up right now. I got you clutched. I'm sussed out, bro. This is weird. I've never had this happen before, nor have I ever seen it happen in like someone else's stream. So this is kind of crazy. Oh, okay. Then I can see why you're trying to get Okay. Wait. Other one trading with him. Okay, yeah. So then I can see why you're trying to convince him. That's funny. Okay. I think I think you could get more for Monra. Sorry, Froggy man. I was definitely on board for your side of the trade though. That's hilarious though. Oh man. Let's see how this. Um, if you get Mixon instead of K9, I would like that a lot more for sure. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean that would be better for clutch for sure. I think Mixon and Saquon would be kind of crazy as your running back room, and then you'd still have um. Forgot did he resend me the rest of his roster? I think Mixon would even it out a little bit more. I just don't know because I think Amon is really good with the Lions. Um, your team is Hurts, Mixon, Gibbs, Aaron Jones, K9 receivers, and some other bums. Yeah, so I mean, definitely getting a monitor would help you out a lot more. But I mean, even if he doesn't do that, then you could definitely get someone like Garrett Wilson, Puka maybe. Um, he's got some really good receivers you could trade for. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, you should definitely trade one of those running backs. Um, so Aaron Jones and Pickens for Garrett Wilson be fair for both. Low key, uh, yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, easily. You might be giving up a little bit too much. Like maybe a tad bit, but I mean, you really need a receiver, so um, that wouldn't be bad at all. I feel like y'all are trolling me, bro. I feel hurt. Oh man, let me finish out this water. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, I think I'm gonna get off stream. Um, so I'm gonna leave this open for like another minute, maybe. So just let me know if you have any more questions. I can answer those for you. But if not, I'm probably gonna end the stream here. And I really do appreciate you guys for watching. Um, and liking the video and subscribing and doing all that. It really does help me out a lot. So thank you very much for doing that. Um, but Alright, I'll leave it open for one more minute because I'm such a nice guy. I'll do it until once it hits. Let's see, we're at 02:10:17. Once that hits 02:11:30, if I don't have any more questions, the stream will be over, and I will see you guys next Saturday. And I think it's looking like it's leaning towards that way. But while I wait, and while we wait, I guess, let's see if Georgia's still losing. They are. Ooh, they're losing by more. No, by the same. So. All right. Well, it is officially 21:11:30. So, no more questions were asked. So, I really do appreciate you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know I enjoyed streaming. It's great use of my time. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you guys next Saturday. And if you guys are interested in NBA content, I did upload a video. Oh, and my camera just died, so this is perfect timing. But I did upload a video this Wednesday. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on my channel. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week.